morning. I am Kotze, your module lecturer for TMS3708. Today I would like to briefly discuss your assignment 2. Please keep in mind that this module makes use of continuous assessment. This means that there is no exam for this module and that each of the 5 assignments counts toward your final mark. Please work hard and give on your best for all of your assignments. We have very high expectations and standards for our future EMS teachers that will emanate from this course. Always answer your work to fully showcase higher order level thinking. We also strongly encourage you to use resources such as textbooks or internet sources because these are also the same sources that you will use to prepare for your classroom teaching one day. But please keep in mind that you must use these resources responsibly and apply what you learn in the learning units from this virtual classroom and also other resources on the internet or textbooks without plagiarizing. We do a thorough internet search before we start marking, and we also share our resources that we think will be useful when preparing our memos within our marking group. If you plagiarize, you could be expelled from the university, and it simply isn't worth losing all of your hard work to date or not being allowed to finish your degree to cheat, copy, or buy assignments or plagiarize. Good luck with this assignment, and I hope that you find it to be a fruitful learning experience in which you can apply your knowledge. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions regarding the content of this assignment. In order to help you prepare for assignment 2, I would like to ask you to please work through the Learning Unit 2 on this virtual site in this virtual classroom in detail. So before you even start assignment 2, please work through Learning Unit 2 in detail. You will notice that throughout Learning Unit 2, there are several OERs or external educational resources that we have attached. You will notice that it's an OER if you see that when you hover over it, there is a little finger that asks you to click on it. Please click on the OERs. Some of them are videos, some of them are articles, and some of them are external sources. And please study these sources. You will see that Van Wyk 2016 is a particularly useful source, and you will need to study that in a lot of detail in preparing for assignment 2, as well as preparing to complete and meet the outcomes of this learning unit. If you have access to a grade 9 textbook, please also use the textbook and study the topics from the textbook, and you may also use other free resources on the internet. Even ChatGPT is a great resource to use, but I'm going to warn you again against plagiarism. Please do not plagiarize any sources from the internet directly. That means you may not copy more than 30% of any work from any resource in a textbook or on the internet. Also, please participate in discussion forum 3 and 4 and comment on other students' work so that we can learn from one another. I hope that by now you have played around in our virtual classroom and had a look at some of the things we have to offer in this virtual space. If you have not yet, I'd like to strongly encourage you to do so. The due date for assignment 1 is coming up this week, and by now I hope that you have familiarized yourself with this virtual classroom space as well as the contents of this module. If we have a look and we scroll down, you will see that assignment 2 is due on or before the 9th of June. Keep in mind that we have already moved into stage 6 load shedding, and we expect it to only get worse during the winter months. Please keep in mind that load shedding, connectivity issues, data problems, being ill is no excuse to submit your assignment late. I have asked you to please start your assignments early because we know that load shedding, data connectivity is going to be a problem. So please ensure you start your assignments early. I will not entertain any queries about submitting late after the due date. Okay, so if we have a look and we scroll down, you will find assignment 2, assessment 2 on the welcome page. Or if you scroll down the left-hand bar, you will find the assessment 2 on the left-hand bar as well. In order to prepare you for assessment 2, you need to work through the contents of Learning Unit 2. So you will work through all of the contents of Learning Unit 2. If I redirect you to any open educational resources, to any OERs, which are articles, videos, internet sources, please go to those OERs, work through the sources, and especially from VAKE 2016, work through that source and also keep a copy on your device so that you can refer back to that source when you are completing the assignment. Also, please participate in discussion forum 4 and 5, and let's participate and learn from our friends. Let's make this a community of practice in which we can learn from other students and from our colleagues as what they're doing, and we can learn from this so that we can implement it into our own EMS classrooms. Any of the resources that we have referred you to in the learning unit, as well as any resources that you find on your own, any internet searches, I will have a look at them just now, that you find on your own, please refer back to them while completing assignment 2. I strongly encourage the use of additional resources to strengthen your teaching and learning and to enhance the teaching and learning in your EMS classroom, because that is exactly what we do in our own classrooms. When we prepare for our EMS lessons, we do not simply read out of a textbook, or if you're doing that, you should not be doing that. You do not simply read out of a textbook or copy word for word what it says in the textbook, but we refer to the CAPS document, to various internet resources, to more than one different textbook, and we combine a variety of resources together, and we use the knowledge and apply it into our own classroom situation. So please keep in mind, I strongly encourage you to use resources to strengthen your teaching and learning, but you may not plagiarize. If you copy more than 30% from any source, you will then be flagged for plagiarism. You will fail this assignment, which will weigh very heavily on your final mark, and we will flag you for a disciplinary hearing in which you could be expelled from the university. It simply is not worth it, again, to risk being caught cheating, copying, plagiarizing, buying assignments. Instead, work hard and try and learn from this assignment. Okay, so once you've worked through all of the content of Learning Unit 2 and you've done a whole bunch of additional research and you've gone and found other websites, chatted to other teachers, other EMS teachers, and you've done as much possible research on the topic in Assignment 2 and on learner-centered teaching strategies in the EMS classroom, then we can go back and we can go to our Assignment 2. And we can start to prepare for assignment 2. I'm going to remind you again that we will not mark your assignment if there is no declaration page attached. So the very first thing you do is you click here, you download the declaration page, you will see it will pop up, and then you either write out the declaration page or you print this page. You sign it. It has to have your signature, electronic or original is acceptable, and you place today's date. This states that you understand that if you plagiarize, there will be severe consequences. Remember to attach the declaration page to your assignment. Then again, I remind you, you may not submit your assignments late. Even load shedding is not a reason to submit assignment late, and that you have to submit your assignments as a PDF. You may not upload a zipped or password locked PDF, and you need to make sure that the scan is legible. In other words, it is not blurry and we can clearly see what is on the scan. Keep in mind that there are many students in this module, thousands of students, and if we cannot read your work, if it is too blurry, the handwriting is too untidy, or the scan is not quality, we will give a 0. We cannot mark what we cannot read. So please make sure before you upload the assignment and immediately after uploading it, download the file that you uploaded and check that it is correct, that we can read it very clearly. Remember, if you fail even one assignment, this will weigh down so heavily on your final mark because there are only 5 assignments that count toward your final mark for this module. I've asked you again to make sure that you do not upload a blank copy of this assignment, because what sometimes happens is I save this PDF to my device as TMS assignment 2, and when I'm in a rush and I uploaded my answer sheet to the My UNISA page, perhaps I could upload the incorrect document. So immediately, please carefully name your assignment so that you know which one to upload, and immediately after you've uploaded it, this should be before the due date, please check, download it again and check that you've uploaded the correct document. You will see the questions that are attached in the assignment. And I've also again reminded you to write neatly, to also make use of the numbering system, and to save it as a PDF document and to check it immediately after uploading. One of the reasons that students failed this module last year was this. They were submitting blank documents or accidentally submitted a copy of their ID and they got 0. Or if a scan was not legible, it was too blurry, the students got 0 and failed this module. That is why I'm reminding you so many times. Okay, so then let's go have a look and let's go straight. There's our declaration page. Remember, I will not mark it without a declaration page, so please don't forget it. And let's go have a look at our assignment 2. Assignment 2 focuses on the learner-centered teaching strategies in your EMS classroom. And what the CAPS document and the Department of Education encourages us to do as teachers is to try and incorporate every learner's diverse needs into our teaching, to make this a teaching and learning environment in which every single learner will learn to the best of their ability in your classroom. And this means a little bit of hard work from us as teachers, but it will surely pay off when your learners love your subject and when your learners do well in your subject. For assignment 2, I've given you a hypothetical pretend EMS classroom. So I ask you to pretend that you are teaching a grade 9 EMS classroom, and the topic that you're going to be teaching is the circular flow of the economy. And then you can choose any learner-centered teaching method. You can go have a look at the content of Learning Unit 2. And you can also do additional research on the internet in your textbooks and find learner-centered methods, except a flipped classroom, because I refer to it later in the assignment again, that you think will be best for teaching this topic. I've also referred you to page 43 of the CAPS document, but please excuse me, I made a mistake. Pardon me, I refer you to page 44 of the CAPS document, but please excuse me, I've made a mistake. This content is actually on page 43 of the CAPS document. So if we click on the link here, you'll see I give you a link to the CAPS document, to our new amended CAPS. You can click on the link there, and it will bring you to the CAPS document. And for question 1, you need to go to page 43, not 44, of the amended CAPS document, and there you will find the circular flow of the economy, and this shows you what content should be covered in the lesson. For this assignment, I only ask you to discuss one lesson. However, you see that CAPS is giving us 2 weeks, so you don't need to discuss all of this. You won't possibly be able to teach all of this in one lesson. So instead of trying to fit all of it into your discussion, choose the flow of goods and services, money, factors of production. Choose a particular part of the topic and then discuss for me how you will teach that using a learner-centered approach to your grade 9s. I have given mark allocations. So firstly, what I'd like you to do is to give a detailed description of the method you chose. So what you can do here is say, for example, I've chosen group work method, and then write the heading group work. First, number your question number 1. You can write or type your answers. You do not need to copy the questions. You can just clearly number it. So assignment 2, question 1, 1.1, and you can write down the method that you've chosen, for example, group work method. And then beneath it, you can list using bullet points or a paragraph explain this method or describe this method to me, what this method entails, what the group work method entails. Please be careful not to plagiarize. Then for question 1.2, I've asked you how you will use this method. Now you must apply your knowledge of this method. And I've asked you to explain using examples how you will use this method in your grade 9 EMS classroom to teach the economy, the circular flow. So here again, you can have it in a table format. You can explain it to me in a diagram format. You can draw a picture of the classroom and how you will have learners move around in groups. Whatever the situation is, remember this must be very clear to me, explained very well, because I only understand what you've written in your assignment. And please remember to keep illustrating your higher order thinking. Remember that we're reading as if you are teaching this lesson. So we need to make sure, please have a check at do a spell check as well, and please make sure that you explain in detail. So here you can say to me, maybe in a paragraph, in bullet points, using a flow diagram, how you would use, for example, the method you chose. I previously spoke of group work to teach the circular flow. I could say, well, first off, I'd break the class up into one group of learners is a business, the other group of learners is a government, the other group of learners is consumers, and then I would give them pretend goods or services to hold up on a little board. Whatever the case is, explain to me how you would use a learner-centered method and explain in detail how you will use this to teach the topic. Again, if you write down that you will sit at your desk and read and the learners must copy it down, that is not a learner-centered method. That is a teacher-centered method, and you will not get the marks for it. Then for question 1.3, I ask you to discuss the advantages of the method you have chosen within the context of your classroom. So please do not just list the advantages of group work, but say to me, within my classroom, perhaps I could say that there are 30 learners. Think back to one of the teaching practices you've done in the past. And because it's a big group of learners, it's a good idea to group them together. Or you could say that you're going to use something practical that's in the media at the moment to explain this, circular flow of goods and services, and explain the benefits of choosing this learner-centered method for your particular classroom. So when you're explaining the benefits, don't just discuss benefits of learner-centered methods, don't just discuss benefits of group work, but discuss the benefits of the learner-centered method that you chose in your classroom context. And then finally, we ask for question 1.4 that you must discuss the disadvantages or the limitations of this method. So for example, for group work, if I have a very big class, discipline could be a big issue, or making sure that all of the groups are doing what they need to be doing could be an issue. And then I also need to discuss how will I alleviate or reduce or address this challenge. What you could do here is you could put it in a table format if you want to, and in the one column you could discuss the disadvantages, and in the other column corresponding to each disadvantage a method you would use to alleviate it, or you could discuss it in bullet points under two separate headings. But please make sure that it's very clear to us. For each challenge that you discuss, you could discuss 5 limitations. Also, please discuss then 5 ways to alleviate them. Remember that you need to answer according to mark allocation. And at tertiary level, I can't just discuss 5 limitations, but I need to ask you to apply your knowledge for each of them, and also to discuss how you will address each of the limitations. Then we move on to question 2. And in question 2, we ask you to go study the flipped classroom. You will see this in Van Wyk 2016. That is the OER in Learning Unit 2. And we ask you, what are the advantages as well as the challenges of using a flipped classroom in the EMS senior phase? Again, here you could maybe put a table, and in one part of the table, advantages, a different part of the table, disadvantages, or you could put the heading advantages and discuss each of the advantages in bullet points, disadvantages, discuss each of them in bullet points. And you will notice throughout this module, throughout the whole year, I refer to the modern EMS classroom. And what I mean by that is our South African EMS classrooms, depending on the type of school that you want to picture yourself at, it could be where the majority of us will be teaching in an overcrowded classroom with limited access to resources. So how could the flipped classroom have advantages and challenges to that? Or we could talk about our modern classroom where a lot of the learners have access to devices, maybe not all learners, but a lot of our learners have access to cell phones or the internet or social media. But keep in mind that the vast majority of us will enter classrooms where we have overcrowded classrooms with 50 learners in a classroom. The vast majority of us will also enter classrooms where the learners struggle with access to resources, as well as the school struggles with access to resources. And this is the wonderful thing where you need to be creative as a teacher to find the best way to teach in these situations. Okay, then for question number 3, we refer to a case study method, and recently I posted a discussion forum about the Prime hydration drink that came out, that sold out in Checkers, and that was just this massive hype and this massive craze on social media, and the first bottle of Prime sold for 400 Rand, and just the absolute benefits and magic that marketing on social media did for this drink. And then how Checkers used this to their advantage to sell out a drink that apparently isn't all that nice either. I haven't had one yet. At 40 Rand for a 500ml bottle, which is still quite expensive. But just the supply and demand and just the wonders of advertising and social media and the impact that media has on a product. So that was the case study that I recently asked you to discuss in a discussion forum. Here you then need to please discuss something different, or if you are discussing the Prime energy drink, make sure that you're not plagiarizing or copying from any of the discussion forums. And you need to create your own case study in order to teach the topic supply and demand. So I've asked you for question 3.1, develop or design your own case study to show the topic of supply and demand at grade 9 level. Here you could refer to, for example, the Prime energy drink, but don't, because everyone's already talking about it. So rather be creative. Think of something else. Go and ask grade 9 learners right now, what is very cool? What do you want no matter what the cost is? Here you could even bring in price elasticity. I know that it is an economics FET phase topic, but you could even teach your learners here about price elasticity when you're talking about price and demand. But go and create your very own case study. You could make it up. And if you're not going to talk about something that's current in the news, you could make up your own product. You could make up your own soccer team that's created new soccer boots, or your own product that will be of interest to the learners. So right now, mom jeans are really cool to me, but they're not going to be cool to grade 9 learners. I need to make sure that I'm discussing what's relevant to my learners. So I've asked you to design a case study. So for question 3.1, you will go and write out an actual case study. So you'll say to me, the following case study was given to my grade 9 learners. And then in a little paragraph, you can even use pictures to illustrate, diagrams to illustrate, that will really help engage your learners in the case study that you have designed. And then you can also please add questions to this case study so that I know how you will be using the case study. So while I haven't specified here that you must add questions, you can always add questions to your case study. And then for question 3.2, I ask you to defend the use of connectivism. You will find this in Learning Unit 2. And that is using technology to explain different topics, or the topic of supply and demand, to your grade 9 classroom. And again, I'm asking you to use examples. So the example of social media and the Prime energy drink. So you need to use practical examples and tell me how you would explain this to your grade 9s. How would you use connectivism to relate different topics to your grade 9 learners? And I'm just going to say this one more time. You can refer throughout this whole year, through everything you're doing, to the modern South African classroom. And you don't need to pretend that you're going to be in some private school where everyone has an iPad and the teacher has laptops and everyone has Wi-Fi, because probably the majority of us will not be teaching in a classroom like that. Instead, you can talk to me about the modern classroom that is overcrowded. A lot of the learners may not have access to textbooks. They have to share textbooks, or the school doesn't have any textbooks, and explain to me what you will do. I think that that would be so interesting, and we could learn so much from one another by sharing those ideas about the challenging situations, because then that really makes us reflect even more.